I want to commend all the speakers. As a wife first, and a caretaker second, of a husband living with dementia, I have gained a lot of hope today. Doctor, nurse, I cannot say. There were days that I thought, this is it, our world is over, our life is over. Today, I can say I'm going back home full of hope, because it's not the end. It is definitely not the end. I know for sure his knowledge, we will find a way to put it to work, and we will be living a long life till God say. Thank you so very much. Thank you. I am Marila Guerra from Peru. I am a medical doctor, I am a psychiatrist. But at the same time, I am a caregiver of my mother that has dementia. I am a weekend caregiver. And I work a lot with families and persons with dementia. So my question for the table is, I don't know if there is a better moment to say to the person that you have dementia. And I ask that because sometimes the family come and the first thing they say is, please doctor, don't tell my mother that she has dementia. Don't tell my father that he has Alzheimer. Could you please tell them that what he has is only a memory impairment related to aging? I have to learn, I think, like a medical doctor, that we need to learn a lot of you. And I appreciate a lot your answer.
Can I just paraphrase that question? Were you asking us whether you should tell people they have dementia?
Yes. Which is the better moment or the best moment to tell that person, Mr. or Mrs., what you have is dementia. And put it in, I like your advice, also in this sense, the families ask me to don't tell them they have dementia. Is that correct?
Well, can I answer that first? I think I would say that from a very personal perspective, that the person with dementia has every right to know straight away, and that nobody else has the right to withhold that knowledge from them. That's how I feel personally, and I would have been very, very angry if somebody had withheld that knowledge from me. I think it's almost a human rights issue. We have a right to know. If your patient had cancer, you would never not tell them that they had cancer. So to me it's that black and white, that simple, but to some of the other panel it may not be, so somebody else might want to respond.
During one of the discussions one day, this was very typical in the group, two children came with their mother. They were adult children, and they posted that their mother was in denial and refusing to take Aricept, and the doctor said she should take Aricept, and mother was obviously not interested. So what I did was I said, well look, that's where I was. I know where she was. Yeah, that's really hard. But I said the issue is, I told them, I didn't tell them what to do, I just tell them what I did. I said, give her some time and give her that whatever happens is her decision. She can choose to have it or not have it, or have it later, or have it for a day and throw it out. It's her decision. They came back the next day and they said, thank you, there was no problem. it's her decision to deal with it the way she wants.
And I have to say that I think it is the right of the patient to be the first to know and to determine who is going to be in the room hearing that information. Those tests were done on that person, that is a human being, and they have a right to know what their diagnosis is and what their future holds. It sounds like there's a lack of education to go along with the diagnosis of dementia, and so providing additional information would be a key.
Can I speak a little?
I think we use telling people the diagnoses as a shorthand to telling them a lot more than they really need, than they really should know. We just say you have dementia, and then we just allow them to live with all the stigmas of that word. When really they don't have dementia, what they have is a disability, and I think we have an obligation to tell them what in our mind that disability is and how it will impact their minds. That's why they come to you for your learned opinion on that. If the word dementia is so profoundly stigmatized, I don't know that it's appropriate to stigmatize them in any particular moment in the diagnosis process, as long as you continue to show them what their issues of their life issues are. But what happens is we just use a catch-all word like you have dementia, and then we don't talk about it anymore. And so it serves the caregivers even more than it serves the people who have the dementia, and that they are now freed of having to mention anything about it, and they just let the person with dementia live in the stigmas of the word dementia. So as a professional, your real support to them is not to fight through the stigmas of the wording that you're using. It's to avoid as much of the wording that is stigmatized and still be honest with them and say, you have some disabilities, and those disabilities begin between your ears and they're in your brain, and they're probably going to get worse over time. And here's what I usually see in people who have these types of disabilities. They forget more than others do, they get confused, and then you explain what the disability is. But I don't think we use enough words to explain to people. We're looking for a shorthand because it's so uncomfortable for us to deliver bad news.
I think that's wonderful, Richard. I think the panel encapsulated that very well. Does that answer your question, Mariela? That's great. Daisy?
Yes, I understand Mariela's question because from the part of the world that we come from, you know, the families always say, don't tell. But I usually tell them, do I have the right to withhold the diagnosis of hypertension? Because if I do, I am denying the right of treatment. And it's the same thing for dementia. But anyhow, I didn't stand here to ask for that. I am here because I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. Because I really think that seeing you all here is just an answer that what we are doing at Alzheimer's Disease International and what we are doing at every national association in the world is valid. Okay? I think, and having Selva Marasco here from Argentina is the very first time that a person from my region stands up and says, I do have dementia. So thank you very much to Selva for your.
Thank you. My opinion, best session by far. You were wonderful. I was definitely coming here for inspiration. I'm celebrating 20 years with the Alzheimer's Society in Cornwall, Ontario, and I needed this. It inspired me to fill me up. I have a question for you. We lead the support groups for persons with dementia who come in with their loved ones, and normally we meet once a month, and primarily they each have their own groups in adjoining rooms. And I think we're always looking at improving this, and I'm wondering, do you have any advice for me as a facilitator that you can get the most out of your group and in a way that you feel you're contributing? Coming back to what Kit Julian did, I think, in presenting a letter written by the people, and I think that serves two purposes. As one, it really brings the group members together in doing something positive to promote people to come to the group. I think I'm going to steal that idea. That's my take-home idea. So thank you for sharing that. But any other words of wisdom into how we can make this group really work for you, please?
Your goals to work yourself out of a job as the facilitator. Trust the people who have dementia to be able to take care of themselves.
I've never been a huge fan of support groups for a person with dementia, because for me, and yet I am a huge fan of support groups. I used to run a support group, a grief support group, and in grief support groups, people get better, people heal, people stop needing to come. In dementia support groups, the people I met when I was first diagnosed are getting worse or have died. And we've had 7 people that we've known in the last 2 years die, 5 of them with young onset dementia. So it's a very unique type of support group to be running, and the fact that I don't particularly like them doesn't mean they're not great. I think for most people they are great, but the thing that my husband and I really disliked back where we come from is that they separate us. And that might be great for the carers, the family carers who need some time away from us, but actually it's not great for us as a couple. We love to be together. When we socialise with friends, we don't get separated. We're together. Why wouldn't we be? We're married. So why can't support groups be more together some of the time? So definitely we might need to have separate issues, like we've set up this Dementia Alliance International group, and we want it to be exclusive membership for people with dementia, because we want to have a voice for ourselves, and yet there is possibly a place for a support group for couples or for people with dementia and their friends, because that is normal life. That is how you socialise. And when you go to a grief support group, the families aren't separated into men and women, or people who are newly bereaved versus people who are a year bereaved and 2 years bereaved. They come together as families and friends to share their grief, and so maybe that's another way to have support groups.
And that's the one thing we do every 4th meeting. We come together for a joint topic, but I think it's like what you said, sometimes the caregivers kind of take over, and then the persons with dementia lose their voice.
Too. Yeah.
So, but that's very important. Thank you, and we'll be mindful of how to make that happen too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all, because it's very important that persons with dementia speak out. We support you fully. As a human rights activist, I can tell you that your rights should be defended first by yourself. Speak out so that others can respect you in your rights. Furthermore, as the last speaker said, you're not alone. You're with your family, or you're with your husband, or with your wife, your conditions, and so any treatment, anyone that wants to be there for you should respect that. That is your environment, and that's what we try to promote in Little St. Martin. Thank you.